And joining us now is Republican Congressman Michael Waltz of Florida. He is a Trump campaign surrogate. Congressman, we heard J.D. Vance. He mentioned that he was watching the DNC last night. I know a lot of Republicans were. What did you think?
Well, a few thoughts. One, I thought it was a little bit sad how President Biden was treated, barely mentioned, I think maybe twice in either of the day's speeches, and kind of, sent off in the dead of the night. But clearly what is unifying this crowd is opposition to President Trump. We've heard his name over 100 times. And what we've barely heard, even mentioned, is anything to do with the economy, the inflation, border. And I have to say, given that right now this week is the 3-year anniversary of the disgraceful, despicable withdrawal from Afghanistan, we've heard Afghanistan mentioned 0 times, not once. I don't even know if you'll get one at all this week, much less on Monday, which is the 3-year anniversary of the Abbey Gate bombing.
Yeah, look, this is the anniversary time of that withdrawal, and you've highlighted that as a criticism of Harris's foreign policy. I do wonder if it makes it more difficult to land that criticism because she wasn't the commander-in-chief at the time. Do you think so?
Well, as you know, with the National Security Council, statutorily in law, it's the president, vice president, secretary of state, secretary of defense, and then whomever else they bring in. She was at the table. She's patted herself on the back and kind of thumped her chest that she was the last one in the room as he made that fateful decision to have an unconditional withdrawal and get our military out before our allies and before our fellow Americans. So she owns it, Brianna. We're going to make sure that she owns it. The veterans community is still incensed, and the 13 Gold Star families are still incensed. And it was the original sin. I mean, Putin really, I think, got the green light from how that withdrawal was done. She has been on the march. Al-Qaeda and ISIS are back. We just had 8 ISIS operatives with our wide open southern border arrested in 3 different cities, planning and plotting an attack on the eve of the Pulse nightclub attack that happened back in 2016. So she absolutely owns these policies. Now, this convention is pretending like day one of a Harris administration is coming, but this is year 4. The world is on fire because of their appeasement and concessions first approach. And if you just contrast that in the Middle East alone, where ISIS was defeated, Iran was broke, you literally had Middle East peace accords breaking out with the Abraham Accords, compared to what we have today with hostages, Americans being held in the tunnels of Gaza as we speak, with ongoing Iranian plots to assassinate President Trump, where you just had someone arrested a week ago for putting down payments on hitmen here in the United States. Hezbollah is here. Hamas is here. She owns all of it. And we're going to continue to make that case. But we don't even have to as Republicans. The world is going to continue to be on fire under their leadership. I'm worried about the next 5 months, much less the next 4 years.
Ties to that terrorist organization. I think they're classified as operatives, and Al-Qaeda and ISIS obviously were never gone. I know, as you say, they're back, but I take your point on that. You are out, as other GOP veterans are, with a letter attacking Tim Walz's military service. Why are you doing that?
No, I disagree.
You were attacking
you
were attacking. Well, I read the letter, so then okay. Well, you were attacking his representation of.
I'm attacking the lies about his service.
You were attacking. Let me say what's in the letter.
Okay.
The comment about the gun, the weapon of war that he obviously didn't carry into war, and he should answer a question about that, and how he represented his retired rank, which was obviously different than what he was promoted to and what he retained after retirement, but also that issue of whether he abandoned his unit for a deployment to Iraq and did not go. I want to play something from a former Guard member who served for about a decade alongside Walz. This is someone I spoke with, Joe Eustace. Let's listen.
I don't see eye to eye on any of his politics. I disagree with many of the things he's enacted as governor and those things. That I felt, like I said on a different show, I'm really not defending Tim Walz. I'm defending what I know about a soldier who I served with.
I mean, that man hates Tim Walz's politics, despises them, is not going to vote for him, but he served with him and he knows his service. So why are you and other Republicans doing this?
Well, I want to be clear and correct your characterization. I'm not attacking his service. I served in the National Guard for 22 out of my 27 years, and I know plenty of guardsmen and reservists who served. Maybe they went to combat, maybe they didn't. They retired at a certain rank. Good on them, and I celebrate them. He said he's proud of that service. If he's so damn proud about it, why does he have to continue to embellish it and to lie about it? Because the facts are clear. He was promoted to sergeant major, but he didn't do the things necessary to retire at that rank and was demoted. And yet there is ample, hundreds of incidences where he is describing himself as a retired command sergeant major. That may sound like semantics to some, but to veterans, and particularly enlisted veterans, that matters. It's a lie. It's a misrepresentation and exaggeration, and he should account for that. I can tell you, as the commander of the National Guard,
I just want to be clear. The letter, and I'm reading this. I'm reading this, Mike. And quote, abandoning the men and women under your leadership just as they were getting ready to deploy was certainly not honorable either. That is an attack on his service.
That is an attack on the decision to not go to combat with his unit as a leader. I was a commander of a unit. I had personal and other issues that I would have rather dealt with. But as a commander, and particularly as a command sergeant major, and by the way, you know, I've never seen a National Guard unit not know at least a year in advance. And his commander and his replacement have both said on national television that he knew. Yet he made a decision to not lead those men and women downrange to combat and to come back.
There were rumors.
He should have to account for that decision. And yet,
Joe Eustace, and you know this as well as a former Guard member. There are often, you have a sense that you may be deploying. You don't always know necessarily where that is going to be. There's always, frequently, something on the horizon. As Joe Eustace pointed out, he has 5 sons in the Guard right now, all of them rumored to be heading somewhere. I think it may have been reasonable to assume it might be Iraq, but he also put in his, he had declared for his candidacy before you saw those orders come out. I mean, what do you say to that? Because I know you're holding up what some guardsmen who serve with him said, but you have others, and ones who were not passed over for a promotion. Ones who, in this case of Joe Eustace, someone who does not like his politics, but says he was a good soldier.
Brianna, rather than defending these decisions, I wish you would interview him and ask him those questions, or that he would at least sit down and answer for these inconsistencies. The other thing we say in the letter is repeatedly he was described in front of him, introduced at events, described in articles as a combat veteran, and he did nothing to correct it. And he still today is doing nothing to correct it. So he clearly implied and allowed others to describe himself as a combat veteran, and he clearly exaggerated his service, which he shouldn't have done, for political gain. That is unacceptable to the veterans community. It's an insult to those who did what it took to be a command sergeant major and retire. For example, you don't get to go take some classes at Yale and then leave and say, I graduated from Yale. There's a clear distinction that he made that he shouldn't have made. And that goes to both his judgment and Harris's judgment when he's going to be a heartbeat away as commander-in-chief, and likely the only person with any military experience in the room.
Yeah, look, he has some questions to answer for. I don't know if it's worth burning down 24 years of service.
Of me or J.D. Vance and answer those questions. The American people deserve it. The veterans community certainly deserve it.
All right, Congressman Waltz, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. We'll also be talking with